just move this or?
Yeah,
Okay, so you go downstairs when we actually, yeah, just make sure that is. Okay, so we're live. This is a test live. We're just checking out how the software is working and everything. So welcome to my studio. My name is Kelly. I'm just going to be working through some back and forth between Illustrator and Photoshop just to see how I can get things working. And I have a pattern already, a pattern design that I created in Photoshop already. Let me just back up here a second and show you what I'm working on. And I'll just, let's see, we'll just make a pattern of this so you can see what I'm going to be doing in, in Illustrator in a minute. So I'm going to be doing something a bit like this. Yeah. So I'm just going to be putting together this pattern design in Illustrator, essentially just to see how things flip back and forth. So I'm going to take one of these. I think I actually already have it, that I can place it in here. Yep. I'll just resize this a bit. And then take it back down to be a template. And then I'll get started on working on this. Okay. Let me just check something quick. All right, we'll see what happens there. Okay, I'm just gonna keep working on this, and whatever happens, happens. So I'm gonna start on these leaves down in here, because that's easy to start on. Let me just see if the screen catches up. Did a thing. I don't think it was supposed to do that. Is that you, Dan? Just let me know. It like did some weird thing. Okay, so there looks to be a bit of a delay. So I'm just going to keep going and we'll see what happens. I'm in Illustrator right now. I'm just going to pick a color of some kind. Let's see. Pick one of these. Okay. Let's pick this. Okay, so I'm just gonna... What?
Is everything okay from your side?
Are you the one who's viewing it? Yeah, well then, I guess so. I think there's a delay, because when I'm watching it live on here.
It didn't seem like there was anything weird when I was looking at it, so maybe there is a slight delay there, so maybe just watch what you're doing here more than anything.
So now all this is in here and it's weird. Okay, go away. Bye. Okay. We'll cut that bit out. Alright, so I'm just gonna do these leaves here and get started on this. I'll swap that over. I think with the strokes, I'm also going to change that to, yeah, that'll work. Stroke is there, okay. That didn't work out so well. I'm kind of still messing with the plan for this piece, so let's just take that out. Whoops. I'll just add one. Dan, if you could just write some questions or something so I can see how they would pop up, that would be helpful. No, that doesn't work. All right, so I think in this stream I'm just going to try to get these leaves done, and then tomorrow's live stream, which will be at about 3 o'clock, I'm going to work on a totally different pattern. I haven't developed it yet, but my goal for that one is to do a bit more of a more complex pattern than this one will be. This is just going to be a simple repeat. I gotta keep remembering to switch that. This will just be a simple repeat, so I'm not going to worry too much about the element itself, and I will post this on the thumbnail, so if you're watching this later you can see what this will eventually turn into. What makes pattern more or less complex? So if I go back to Photoshop for a second, what I did here was it's not a simple pattern. So like a simple pattern would be, think like a polka dot, right? So you just have that one element and you have it repeating over and over again. This is already, it's like a middle of the range kind of pattern as far as complexity is concerned, because the icon, and just one of these is the icon, that's pretty complex, but the pattern itself is the simple repeat. So if you take each one of these, and let me just make a circle here. I'm just going to fill this. Whoops, I need a layer. I'm just going to fill this. So if I just take this circle and just pretend that this pattern is polka dots instead of the icon that I have, whoops, then you can see like essentially this is just an easy polka dot pattern, right? So we're just repeating the same element over and over again. If I changed one of these out to be maybe a square in here, let's just pull that up. So you can start making more complex patterns based on where you place things. So I could make it really complex based on where I'm going to place these things, but also just changing out the icons. So then this would have two different icons to it. So let me just open an example of one that I did before. This is a more complex pattern because the icons are more complex, but also we have the same repeating pattern that I just showed over here. So you have the circle and the square. So you have the larger element would be the circle, and then the smaller element is the square, and it just repeats differently. So essentially every pattern you're making is essentially either a polka dot sort of thing, or, oops, let me just escape from that. Let me just open, pull this up to the other window. Repeat layouts. Let me just open this for a second. These are, for the most part, the repeat layouts that you can have. And you can kind of alternate what you're doing, but this is the different styles of repeat you can get. So you just end up placing the icon that you're building in these different layouts. You can make it as complex as you want. Close that. So this one is essentially going to be a more complicated polka dot. That's really all that means. Pattern can be as complex or as simple as you want it to be. Oops. So right now I'm just kind of adjusting where these lie because I didn't think to put it on, oh, what's going on there? To put it on the same mode I had it on before. So essentially, like, instead of having it on the outline, I had it on the fill, so I'm just adjusting how that looks because I couldn't see what I was doing. And then let's see, we'll do, I guess I really didn't. Yeah, I'm gonna adjust this a bit more. I don't like how wonky this is. I drew it really wonky, but I think I want to have it a little more even. And that's a little better, and I think I like this one better than this one, so I'm going to delete that. And then just flip this. Yeah, I'll do that one. So then down here, I'm just going to do 2 of the leaves on this side, and then repeat them over on the other side, and then I'm going to do this little, is it fleur-de-lis? I'm going to do that a little bit. I don't really want soft peaks with any of these. I kind of want these to be pretty, I guess, pointy. These are acanthus leaves. I want them to be kind of pointy. The reason I'm doing this in the first place, so I kind of got on this kick of watching ocean liner designs, and if you haven't checked out that channel, go check that out. But I kind of got obsessed with not only the ocean liners of the past, but more importantly, like the interiors of them. So I got my inspiration for this one from a photograph that I found of the interior of one of the ocean liners, and it was, I think it was a photo of some chair fabric, and it had kind of like this frame element, and it had like a central icon in that frame, and so that's where this came from. This is kind of like a stylized pineapple that I'm working on here. The pineapple thing, so pineapples historically I think were like a sign of welcoming, so that's why I put it in the center of this frame. I liked that idea. The colors I'm using right now, they're just from the pattern that I showed you a minute ago. So I'm going to change those, but it's going to be the similar kind of idea. So it's going to be a two-tone pattern as opposed to having different colors. If I was making something more complex, I'd be working with more colors right now just to be able to better see what I'm doing. But right now, this is, you know, a relatively easy pattern, so that's not necessary. I think I'm going to keep that curve the way I drew it. I drew this really sketchy from rather shoddy photo reference, which personally I love bad photo reference. I think it's the best kind of reference because I don't want to really see, especially for pattern design, I don't really want to get too influenced by what I'm looking at. So yeah, I love bad photo reference. It's the best kind. Yeah, I don't think I need that. Switch that one. And then each time I do one of these, I'm just taking a look at how it's playing off the one next to it. So I'm going to add a point right here on this one, and I'm going to kind of thicken that out a bit. Oops, put it in the wrong spot. Delete that. I'm just going to smooth some of these things that are a little rough. That's looking good. Change this one. So I already have an anchor point here that I didn't notice. I'm going to delete that one. That's looking about what I'm wanting for this. So now that I have those, I'm just going to flip them over to the other side. So copy and paste, and then let's see, and shift them around right there. So not the middle, but it'll do. So this is where I can see that my sketch was not remotely even in the first place, but that's all right. I'm going to try, I'll drag it down a ruler to that point, I think. And drag a ruler to the center point. These are just guidelines to help me kind of line up where I'm working. Yeah, I'm line it up with the center of the, yeah. So I think I'm going to shift the top a little bit, but that's a pretty good spot right there. Let's take a look. Yeah, I'm liking that so far, so I'll just get these rulers out of the way for a second. And finish this up. Let's see. Okay. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this for now. You know what, let me just put the center bit in. So it looks like something. And let's see, we'll just use the line tool for that. And let's see. Okay. Wow, I didn't line those up at all, but I think I will fix that. But in the meantime, I'll just put in the rest of the pineapple. There we go. So without the frame, that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to turn off the template that I have right now. And then I'm just going to, so this is one of those pattern layouts that I showed before. I just use this to kind of figure out this. It's like another template. So I'm just going to use this to kind of figure out my layout. And I will just make a simple pattern with just this central element, just so we can get something going here. Shrink that down a bit. This is going to end up being a lot smaller in the end because I'm going to put that frame around it, but for now this will do. So let's see if I do something like this. Okay. And I need background swatch. Let's see, I went kind of dark with that. I'll do go a bit lighter. Turn that off. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to use this as my guide for the squares. So I want, what did I do? I did kind of like a diamond shape. So I'm going to go from here over and then down because I only need 4 of them. And then I'm just going to refine the shape of the box on the side. Let me just change the units that I'm working in. So it's in inches, so I'm going to change that to pixels. Okay, so 220 by 220 sounds good. 220 by 220. And then I'm going to put this at the top. All right. So I'm going to kind of line it up here just to give myself an idea of where these should go. But at the end of the day, like, you know, there's going to be one on this side, one on the other. Let's go right about there. All right, so I'm going to transform, move, horizontal, we did, what was it, 220? 0, and then I'm going to copy. And then, oops, same thing for the one on top. This one is going to go, you know what, let me center this before I go any further. Okay, so this one is going to move again. This time it's 0 horizontal and 220 vertical, copy. And then, oops, I'm going to copy and paste in place this box. Remove the fill, send it to the back. And now I'm going to turn off that. So I only have the pattern now. Bring up the swatches panel and then drag this whole thing in. And now I just test it. So come over here. Hopefully it works. Oh, it does work. So this gives a very simple pattern with this single element, which I think works out pretty well. I'm going to still add the frame, but I don't mind it without the frame too, so that's nice. So at this point then I can change the color. This is just, you know, some random colors I picked. Oops, apparently I have multiples. Hold on. Let me reduce the number of colors and then go in. Okay. Doesn't seem to want to go away. Well, anyway, I guess I'll see what happens when I change the colors. Oh, I see, apparently. Let's see, so I want to have this middle color also be this. So, okay. All right, there we go. Now we're down to 2 colors. So I'm going to use the recolor artwork tool and I'm just going to play around with some tones. And then I'll probably just, I'm looking only at the icon right now, so I'm just trying to get a color for the icon that I like, and then I'm going to just make the background either lighter or darker. You know, I kind of like that. So let's see, so I have the green is the blue, so go over here and let's see, I'll do the icons first. And I have those as the blue, and then apparently I'll do the center bit. I really should stop futzing around with this. Apparently it's worked, so it's good enough, but this I'm also going to put as the blue, and then adjust in the color. I will make it, let's see, a little warmer, a lot more desaturated, and then bring the shade up to right about there. And I think actually I'm going to flip this. So I'll take this over into the swatches, and then I'm going to flip this color palette. Change the color, and then I'm going to just exchange the places here. There we go. So, all right, so that's the first successful test. It took a little longer than I meant it to, but that's okay. And I got the pattern done, so that's good. All right, let's see. In stream.